So when it comes to price, we can see, and we have compared, that the 100 eDTU pool saves 67% cost compared to having 4 individual Azure SQL databases. So there's a lot of benefit when it comes to price comparison between the Elastic Pool and the individual Azure SQL databases. Now when it comes to sizing best practice, the following is going to help us correctly size an Elastic Pool. The minimum number of databases required for a pool to be cost effective is driven by the following formula. So it's the sum of the individual databases DTUs needs to be greater than 1.5 times the eDTUs. So for the ToyStore pool to be more cost effective, the minimum number of databases in a pool can be calculated as the sum of individual DTUs being greater than 150, which is 1.5 times 100. Now this means you need at least 2 Azure SQL databases of standard S3 tier for the pool to be cost effective. We'd need at least 4 Azure SQL databases of standard S2 tier for the pool to be cost effective, and at least 8 Azure SQL databases of standard S1 tier for the pool to be cost effective. Now the maximum number of concurrently peaking databases, an Elastic Pool allows an Azure database to peak to the maximum eDTU available for that pool. However, not all databases can peak to the maximum eDTU at the same time. The maximum number of currently peaking databases shouldn't be greater than 2/3 or around 67% of the total number of databases in the pool. So, for example, the ToyStore pool currently got 4 databases, which means for the pool to be effective, we need 67% of the 4 databases in the pool, which basically means you only need 2 databases to hit peak. If more than 2 databases can currently peak, then the pool has to be sized for more than 100 eDTUs. If the pool is resized to be more than 100 eDTUs, then more S3 databases need to be added to keep the pool cost effective. Now, in terms of DTU utilization per database, the ideal utilization pattern of a database to be considered for an Elastic Pool should be low on average utilization with short, infrequent bursts of high utilization. This is the best utilization pattern for sharing eDTUs. Now, this means that other databases wouldn't get the required eDTU and would have a lower performance. So a database with a peak utilization that is about 1.5 times greater than its average utilization is a good candidate to become an Elastic Pool member. In this demo, we are going to create an Elastic Pool and add the ToyStore shards to that pool. So in this situation, we've analyzed the report of our DTU usage, and we think switching to standard service tier 3 is going to be more beneficial, but it's going to cost more. So to save costs without having that bad user experience during peak workload and peak hours, we're going to utilize an Elastic Pool and add our shards to it. Now to do this, we will use the Azure portal. So I've navigated to the Azure portal and I've made my way to my ToyStore Azure SQL server. Okay, and I'm on the overview blade. Now from here, I'm going to click on New Pool. And from there, we will get the Elastic Database Pool blade. Okay, so I need to provide the pool name. And I'm going to call this ToyStore EP. Right, the pricing tier as standard. I'm just going to click on this standard list so we can see it. We've got standard. eDTUs is 100. Max database size is 100 gig. Click on apply there. And I'm going to click on OK. With the Elastic Pool created, I'm going to click on my ToyStore EP. And I'm going to click on Configure. So we've got the pool settings there, the eDTUs and the maximum size. I'm going to click on Databases. And then I'm going to choose Add a Database. And I'm going to select all the databases I want to include in here. So for the purposes of this, I'm going to choose all. You can see the various different sizes of databases there. I'm going to click Save. And then I'm going to let that deployment run while it adds those databases in. When those databases have been added in, we can click on the per database settings, where we can specify the minimum and maximum number of eDTUs a database can use. So if we wanted to restrict it from the 100, we could move the scale down, but we're not going to do that in this case. We can also get an estimate of the cost per month. So the cost per eDTU, in my case here it's in British pounds, is £1.68. eDTU selected is 100, so the estimated cost per month is £167 per month. I'll just click on save to save all my settings. It submits to deployment, and when that's completed, we'll have our Elastic Pool set up. When the deployment is completed, our ToyStore Elastic Pool will be available inside the resource group, and we can configure it and change the settings as we need to going forward. There's a configure option there. We can go in and change the settings we've just set in setting up the Elastic Pool.